As most of us are making summer travel plans, the Obama administration is putting pressure on the airlines to recognize that consumers are entitled to be treated fairly. But my guest today says that with rights comes responsibility. Bruce Weinstein, also known as the Ethics Guy, is a columnist for Bloomberg Businessweek, and his latest book, Is It Still Cheating If I Don't Get Caught? And he joins me now with the very latest. Hi, good morning.
Great to see you, Meg.
All right, so you say it's time for a return to civility in airline travel, and you wrote an article calling for a passenger bill of duties. Why is it so important for passengers to be held accountable?
Well, Meg, remember that old Quaker Oats commercial that went, "It's the right thing to do"? Treating our fellow passengers with respect and treating the people who work for the airline with respect is the right thing to do. It's really that simple.
We basically learned it in kindergarten, right?
That's right, but we tend to forget this along the way, and so these rules for civility and ethical conduct are really an attempt to return to the time when we knew right from wrong, or at least acted as though we knew.
Exactly. All right, Bruce, let's go through some of these proposals in your passenger bill of duties. And the first might be hard if you're in the heat of the moment, and passengers shall not take out frustrations on personnel at the ticket counter or the gate. Tell me about that one.
Well, it's understandable to be angry when a flight is canceled or severely delayed, but it's not the person working at the counter at the airline. It's not his or her fault. And so by being angry and being maybe even disrespectful or rude or worse, we not only are hurting that person, we're also harming our own chances of getting the thing we want. So doing the right thing, or taking the high road, treating other people with respect, it's not just the right thing to do, it will help you get what you want.
Yeah, and treating people with respect, I think a lot of people forget that. All right, similarly, you say when entering the cabin, passengers should greet their flight attendants with a smile, and this is really important. This can go a long way.
You know what I say when I get on board the plane to the flight attendant, Meg? I say, "Hi, my name is Bruce, and I'll be your passenger today." And, it gets a laugh, and then they remember me for the rest of the trip, and they almost fawn all over me, and just something as simple as a basic courtesy of saying hello, introducing yourself, it goes a long way, and it's so important. And it's so easy to do, that's the thing.
So easy to do. It takes, less than 2 seconds to do that. Okay, here's one a lot of people probably ignore, and passengers shall pay attention to the safety demonstrations before takeoff, no matter how many times they have seen it before. I am guilty as charged. I know I don't listen to this.
Well, I used to be guilty of that, but now that I wrote this bill of responsibilities, I'm afraid somebody might see me reading my phone, and so it is very difficult to do that. But it only takes 45 or 60 seconds, and if in the unlikely event we need it, we'll be glad that we took that time.
Well, especially after watching The Miracle on the Hudson. I mean, that was one thing that I think a lot of people said, you know what?
Absolutely.
Let's go back.
That's a great point.
Yeah, take some time to do that. Okay.
Yes.
Your next tip is you have a few rules about socializing. And the first is about chatting up a neighbor on the plane. And you've got a few concerns here, though. Explain them.
That's right. If you're talking with someone and he or she is sending you a message that that person doesn't want to be disturbed, like, for example, if you're talking about your family picnic and the person's going la 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 la, that probably is a signal they don't want an extended conversation. It's one thing to say hello, where are you going, but it's another thing to invade the other person's privacy. And a lot of people just want to be left alone, let's face it.
Yeah, I mean, basically just, listen and look for those clues, because it's pretty apparent when someone doesn't want to talk.
Emotional intelligence, very simple.
All right. Now, when it comes to kids, you say children shall not be allowed to scream, kick, or otherwise misbehave while on the plane. That can be easier said than done at times.
That's true, and I was one of those misbehaving kids, so I know how difficult it is. But it's not the child's fault. It's often the parent's fault for being absorbed in their BlackBerry or iPhone or whatever it is. And too many times when I turn around when a child's been kicking me, it's because the parent is ignoring the child. The child doesn't even have a book or something to play with. So, there are the occasional problem cases like me when I was younger, but in most cases it's just a matter of talking with your son or daughter about the importance of treating other people with respect. Again,
exactly.
Very basic.
Paying your child some attention. And you brought up another good point about bringing a book. Come prepared. As a parent of 2 little kids, I know you have to bring some things.
Absolutely.
Because those, little books in the back of the chair can only go so far.
Or, you could play Hangman or tic-tac-toe on a piece of paper. It takes very little to amuse a child, but just a little attention.
Now, the airplane cabins can be a tight fit, but when it comes to personal space, you have some tips for us here, too.
That's right. It's one thing to watch pornography or extreme violence at home, but it's another thing to bring this kind of material into a public space. And I can't tell you how often I've been sitting next to someone and they're playing this material, and you know, it's offensive to some people, and you know, some people would prefer watching an Andy Griffith rerun to watching a Jenna Jameson video. So there's a time and a place for everything, and the time for these kinds of extreme materials is best left at home.
Okay, and we're almost out of time, but just real quick, you should always clean up after yourself, right?
That's right. You know, the flight attendants are not our servants. They're there to help us. There's a flight crew responsible to clean up, and again, just a very simple, it comes out of one word: respect.
Respect. Bruce Weinstein, aka the ethics guy. The book is It Still Cheating If I Don't Get Caught? Thanks so much.
Thank you, Meg.